Okay, Splicca in Edinburgh. Spent a day driving here, great fun. Got here, me and Chris didn't go to bed. Worked right through, did about 50 hours, went flying, had a great time. And basically settled into the routine, flying, show, pub. My average bedtime has been 6, half 6, maybe 7. Averaging 4 hours of sleep, living on vitamin pills, beer and burgers really. I'll sort my life out when I get home.
We want more bunch of flies for the lady. I find it very difficult to believe that he can actually survive on 3-4 hours sleep a night. I find that quite difficult to believe, and that he wouldn't get ill, and it concerns me a bit.
I've been walking around in pubs around Edinburgh wearing my Michael Martin t-shirt, and people that I don't know have come up to me and said, "Oh, so your show the other night, really good." People from other shows in the sea have come to see it and talked to me afterwards and absolutely loved it. So the overall impression seems to be people have really liked the show.
I can act! I can sodding act! Look!
And certainly he stays out late, which causes resentment against him within the group, because other people love to stay out getting pissed all night. And that causes resentment, which means that the team don't work as well as a team anymore.
And although I accept, and I've been guilty at Edinburgh of maybe slightly having too much of a good time than being a bit disciplined about things.
You can sense everybody getting pissed off with different people, but you're always going to get that.
Everybody Inexplicable does publicity and marketing and that kind of stuff very grudgingly.
I resent the fact that people tell me to give a utterly consistent performance when I think that it helps the show to grow and to evolve. When we're having a good time, we're doing a good show. And what I don't like is the hypocrisy of certain people saying, well, you should turn up here and flyer, when they don't seem to do much flying themselves.
But generally I've been out most days and I actually really enjoy just standing around talking to people. And I mean, I'm a bit of a tart and I just like talking to people. I like meeting people and just talking about myself as well, I guess. And if you talk about the show, I'm essentially talking about myself.
That's one thing you realise when you get to Edinburgh, is that you're a nobody. An absolute nobody. And no matter how much shouting you do in the streets, it's not going to change
The real feeling of achievement when I recognise someone in the audience that I spoke to on the street. About 5 or 6 days ago, there was a couple of people who walked past us doing witches and found it funny, and someone gave them a flyer and I was sort of looking at them in an amusing witch way. And they turned up in the bar in C about half an hour before the show. I ran over to them with a flyer and said, you saw the witches earlier, come and see the show. And, yeah, we've already got tickets. Cool.
That's the goal of the season.
Traction engine!
This has been the hardest thing for me, is to put all my effort and all my sales pitch into something that I don't necessarily believe in. There's nothing different about it. It's not exciting. It's not even that hilarious.
To be honest, if everyone that had flyers came to see our show, they'd pretty much all be attractive females.
But I think Douglas has found the same, in that he didn't like being on the high street, not being 100% confident about selling something to people. And then after a while, it's like, well, what the hell? These people are only here for 2 days, I'm not going to see any of them ever in my whole life. It doesn't really matter. Let's just go out and sell the bugger.
Hello to you, it's David again. We are in Chamber Street. This is the street of our venue. We're all outside and we're having a free banana smoothie.
How many gentlemen? How many gentlemen? How many gentlemen? You fit in your car? 7!
They support as many as 2,500 jobs people running the show, what they're doing to maintain the country's cultural health. Heart attacks on the Royal Mile. Who cares?
And have you heard the one about the Scottish Executive with the National Cultural Strategy? The debate rolls out tomorrow as the First Minister unveils a strategy which promises to give the arts and culture, however they can be defined, unprecedented emphasis in political policy making.
I'm on the telly! I'm on the telly! Oh! I'm on the telly! I'm on the telly!
I'm going to give you a little tour of the venue. Now, this is the venue. This is the, you're not seeing a lot because I'm just spazzing with my hand a bit.
Come on over to my place.
Here we go, right, that is our venue.
I think it's turned out a lot different than I personally expected it would, and I think that anyone in the group expected it to turn out, certainly 10 months ago.
I'm surprised that the show is as good as it is.
Yeah.
Because 3 months ago, I thought, no way, this is a pile of shit. But it's not great, but it's not mediocre. It's good, I think.
I think it's a bit rough. It's our first Edinburgh show. It's our first show to a non-home audience in a way.
We got a bad review, and that arrived yesterday, and that was a bit of a blow from an ego point of view.
It was frustrating that the reviewers said these guys could be a force to be reckoned with, which obviously means that he saw a lot of positive stuff in what we did, but there was no mention of any of the positive stuff.
And I remember I snapped at you when you said actually it's quite a good review, and I said no it isn't, and I lost it slightly. But I think you're right. I think it was a fairly complimentary review, especially for a 2-star.
You know, I've seen people with 4 or 5-star reviews this festival, and they're really crap.
Personally, I know the show is better than 2-star, and I think that's actually quite a harsh review.
Oh, Mr. Nippy! Oh, Mr. Nippy! Mr. Nippy!
Can you read that? It says Comedy Festival. And that to me is what it's all about. There's an awful lot of theatre, you know, people acting in plays. Right, what good is a play without a Jake? That's what I want to know.
Speaking personally, when I got here, I just thought, whoa, there are just so many shows on. There are so many other people doing the same thing as us. There are so many other people who have been to university and been the funniest comedy group on campus. And that was initially extremely intimidating.
There are people out there with bigger profiles than us who I personally am sure that we're better than.
I don't think any of us would have predicted quite how laden the Edinburgh Festival is with other comedy acts.
Because I know some of us had sort of an idealistic vision that we could turn up and someone influential would notice us, and we get a cracking review and suddenly we're selling out and making a big fuss, which is rubbish. Because who are we? We're no one. Why should anyone come and see our show?
Any thoughts?
Well, I've got a few things up my sleeve, arms.
There seems to be an awful lot of stuff that is just content to, sit comfortably in its own little niche, in a tiny venue and have 6 or 7 people along, which is fine, if that's, people do it for love, people do it for pleasure, and there's nothing wrong with that.
I mean, the actual Edinburgh experience has been great, but the whole 10 months or whatever it is, it's just been a huge albatross.
I think we've done very well for our first time on the Fringe, and we've put ourselves in quite a strong position to do stuff in London over the coming year and try and build up some sort of profile and come back and still be nobody, but be a slightly bigger nobody.
Hello again. Greyfriars Bobby, that is a legend in Edinburgh. It's a little dog there, can you see him? Little black dog of Scottish descent. Now, legend has it that whenever his owner fired a gun at him, he would jump in front of the bullet to prevent any more dogs being shot.
I kind of thought it would be a bit more awe-inspiring in a way.